Okay, well, welcome everybody to this Wednesday afternoon Apex webinar. Today is going to be Apex Order Prints Advanced Training 1. We've got two more sessions of this. I'm going to be diving into, just a few aspects of order prints that we kind of want to, just bring your attention to, dive in a little bit more than we did in some of the initial training, and jump in a little bit. Now, for some of you that are in open house, some of you took different paths in your training courses. All right. I don't know if you remember that, but, down here we had 3 different training courses, power plays with Forex and futures, power plays with Nadex binaries or spreads, or order prints for any system. So for those of you that chose order prints for any system, maybe you're trading other systems, maybe you're just wanting to learn order prints. Any of you that went through this system watched the complete full training course on order prints. Any of you that went through the power plays watched a little bit condensed version of the training course. Okay, in the full course, I got a little more detailed into order prints. Okay, so I just want to make sure that each of you know where to go. So if you're in the forum and you go down to S6, okay, under Apex Indicators, right here, Institutional Order Prints, I want to make sure you understand this section here, all right, and know kind of how to go through it. And right here, terms and definitions. All right, this is where you can go through, and I just want to make sure you all know where it is. You can go through and read about order prints, understand order prints. I know that some of you haven't gone through this, and the reason I know this is because I've had many of you say something like, well, I just opened my chart today and order prints doesn't work. There's no numbers. Well, if you paid attention in any of the courses on order prints, or if you've gone through here, you would understand that order prints doesn't start printing unless your chart is live, okay? It goes through and explains to you every aspect of order prints. The black numbers, what we call balanced volume, and then the terms and definitions are all in alphabetical order. Absorption, which is the X's, acceleration, each and every aspect. Some of you, I've seen you ask, what are these things printing on order prints, or what does this color mean? It's all in here, piece by piece, step by step, shows you what it is, a definition of it, arrows of how it looks, text definition of it, there's videos on it. All the information is right here, okay? So spend some time and go through it, okay? Go through it so that you know exactly what it is. And, with order prints, guys, you can use it for, confirming Apex systems, non-Apex systems, entry and exit confirmations, tightening stops, what to do at levels, chop breaks, all kind of great stuff to it. It's the most powerful tool you have for trading. And spend some time on it. Dive into it. I know it can feel a little overwhelming, all the different aspects of order prints. It is worth your time, okay? Be a student of order prints. Jump in and be a sponge and absorb it. I want you to dig in and learn as much as you can. Spend time back testing it, do some market replay. Just kind of learn to read it second nature. As you're trading throughout the day, as you're watching the markets, watch order prints and start to get a feel for your market. Start to get a feel for order prints. What does order prints do, at levels? And learn to watch what it does at levels. And when it reverses at levels, what did order prints do at a level reversal compared to what order prints do when it broke through a level with more volume? Learn how to read those things. Okay, what about when you're stopped out? You're in a trade and you're trailing your trade down or up or down, and when the market came back and hit your trailing stop and you exited, what happened on order prints at that point? What do you start seeing? Look back over and make a journal. Look at every trade. When you exited your trade, when your trailing stop got hit, what was order prints doing? What can I learn from that, on the next trade to maybe see that come in early or prepare for that or see that? Yeah, Johnny says it's like watching a story unfold. Exactly. And that's what it is. It's a magnifying glass into the bars, into the market to see what's going on. Learn to read it. Okay, there's only so much that I can teach you about order prints. Okay, and we're going to teach you as much as we can, and we'll keep on going and teaching. But you really have to dig in and learn it yourself. It's, like I said, it's the best tool you have to really see what's going on in the market, really learn to read the market, read market conditions, and make the best possible decisions you can for your trades. Okay. Now, there's certain aspects of order prints that we don't really use a whole lot. Some traders do, some don't. But there's certain things you got to, really keep an eye on. And we've talked about, acceleration and mini magnets and clusters, and some of those. But go through the forum post and get a grasp of what all they are, and start looking out for what things you find helpful and what you use. Okay. All right. So, Dennis asked, when are you going to teach 9 to 19? Actually, we don't use that. That was a kind of test thing we did that we did not find very helpful for our diagnostic bar systems, Dennis. So probably not something we're going to teach anytime soon here. Okay, that'll be down the road. So that's where you can find all the information on order prints in general. Check it out. Check out the forum area. Make sure you know how to do your settings and audio alerts. Jump in and learn it. Learn every aspect. Today we're going to focus on mini magnets. All right. Over the next advanced training courses here, we're going to kind of focus and hone in on certain things and kind of keep building on our foundation. You've heard a little bit about mini magnets. What are they? Well, let's start right here in the forum area. All right. A mini magnet is denoted by a cream colored line. This is a place the market will often come back to. All right, now what is a mini magnet? Why is one drawn there and not drawn in other places? Notice on this wick bar, you'll only have mini magnets on wicks. Okay, you won't have mini magnets in the body of a bar. You'll only have mini magnets on a wick. And notice on the top of this wick, the numbers on each side, neither one of them is a 0. All right, let's just take a quick peek at something here. I hope you can see this chart okay. What do you see at the top of this wick bar right here? You see 8 and 47. Okay, and it drew a mini magnet. This one just happens to be yellow because that's how I have it. On most wick bars, or on a lot of wick bars, what you'll see is zeros, right? See that? 0, 0. You don't have a mini magnet on the zeros. Okay? Everybody see that? You can see the yellow lines, right? Okay? Right here, you've got 0 and 7. Right here, we got 5 and 32. There's a yellow line. There's a mini magnet. Over here, 10 and 57. There's a mini magnet. Okay? So when you have a number on one side and a 0 on the other at the bottom of the top of that wick, you're not going to have a mini magnet. All right? When you have numbers on both sides and there's a non-zero number, that means there were still orders up there. All the orders weren't taken out. There's still business up there. Okay, and that's letting you know, hey, that's a level where some business was left there. All right, there's a non-zero number there. Okay, so that is how and why and when a mini magnet plots. All right, these are places the market will often come back to. There are several settings to adjust how long you'll see mini magnets. The first setting indicates how long they will show on the chart in hours. So they're defaulted to 24 hours. All right, it's defaulted on some of the charts to stay on there for 24 hours, but I think on some of your charts we've had them where they'll only stay for X amount of hours, or they'll go away when they've been broken, is how your chart should be defaulted right now. So once the market comes back and hits those levels, they'll stop plotting forward. You can see them looking back, but they'll stop plotting forward. Because once they've been hit and broken a couple times, especially, they may not be that important of a level anymore. All right, the market has come back there, taken out that business. Okay, because if we kept them just all of them going and going, at some point your chart would just have too many to effectively see them clearly. Okay, so if you see too many mini magnets, a number like 10 might be a good filter. But anyway, you can go through this, but your templates are already filtered, so you don't need to worry about that. So that is a mini magnet in general. Okay, the markets, there are places where the markets come back to, okay, and where the markets push off of. All right, so when there's a mini magnet plotted there, you normally see that there's some power coming off the bottom or top of that bar, and you also see that the market will push away from those levels, but they'll come back to those levels. All right, or when they hit those levels, they'll reverse, or when they hit those levels, you'll get some areas of support and resistance. Doesn't mean the market can't just blow through them, with a little bit of volume. But once they're drawn, you need to look at those as, just like you look at some other levels, whether it be deviation levels or support and resistance levels. They're very, very important levels. And I know some of you are just been like, oh, these lines on the chart and whatever. Okay, but once you understand and see them, you'll realize that they're actually really important to pay attention to. So let's look at a few examples here. Let's talk about some combinations at levels. Let's say that the market was coming down to a level. I don't have a bunch of charts up here because I want you to be able to see. But, when you've got the market coming down to a level, maybe it's a deviation level or a high-low level, and you're looking at a combination of things, and you see the market bounce off of that level with a mini magnet. Okay? And we're going to talk a lot about combinations. With order prints, yes, we look at, certain things as being more important than others or telling us more than others. You already know, especially going through the power play courses, how important the clusters are, right? But with order prints, as you start to learn it, you want to start to put certain aspects of things together. Like, let's say that this was a level right here that the market was bouncing off of, or maybe this set up as a, as a P trade or as, some other type of trades that you guys are doing as well, or certain scalping trades. But not only did the market bounce off with a mini magnet, but we also had these yellow, trapped orders here. We also had blue, we had leading volume. We had some green shades imbalances. And we've got acceleration bolts. Okay, I want you to start paying attention, and we'll do more training on this about combination, seeing multiple things, multiple order print factors on one single bar that give you a lot more indication of what could be happening there, especially when you have things like this. Off of a level, you've got trapped orders down here, you've got a mini magnet, and it's a pretty good mini magnet as well. Okay, I'm not saying that the numbers necessarily matter, but if this said 48 and 1 compared to 48 and 11, when I see higher numbers like that, I like them even more. Okay, so Eugene, everyone else says they can see. I'm not sure what type of screen you might be on there, but can you see right here, 48 and 11? See this mini magnet right here? Okay. We also have on this bar yellow trapped orders. Okay, we've got a cluster. We've got, see these green numbers, we've got imbalances, we've got leading volume, and we've got bolts. We've got acceleration bolts. And when you're looking at those combination of all those things on a bar, especially coming off of a level, those are very, very powerful. Okay, sometimes certain things on their own are powerful, but, when you combine all of those things together and you're at a level and maybe there was some time chop and maybe there was some bad divergence, those are just, hey, let's go. Okay. Addington, you see this yellow line right here? Okay. That's a mini magnet right there. Okay. Because at the bottom is 48 and 11. The bottom of that wick, there's not a 0 on one side, so that's why I drew this yellow line out here. Okay? That's what that is there. But do you see what I'm talking about? When all these things combine, they're very, very strong combinations there. Okay? Take a look at another one. Same here. Market coming up. If it's hitting a level, boom. See that yellow line? That's a mini magnet. Why? Because you got 3 and 22 there. There's not zeros. Okay? You've got double bolts on this bar. You've got, cluster on this bar. Market shoots down. Okay, yeah, sorry if that's a little dim, but yeah, you see the yellow there? Okay, I don't have this cream because I have a white background. You wouldn't be able to see it. So that's why they're yellow. Some charts, like on the C's, they'll come across this cream. All right, but when you see those combination of all those things on one bar, on a reversal bar, especially at a level, those combos are very important to pay attention to. And you notice these examples I'm showing you have mini magnets that they're pushing off of. Okay, the market likes to push off of those mini magnets. What about here? There's another one. Same type of situation. You've got double bolts. You've got a momentum star. You've got clusters. You've got imbalances, and you've got a mini magnet. The market pushing off of that. All right. When you've got a trade set up and your setup bar's got that stuff on it, I'm feeling really, really good about my trade, right? When I'm seeing all those things together off of a valid trade setup and a level and everything together, all those extra confirmations are stuff I'm really looking for. But once again, on that mini magnet, the market pushing off of that mini magnet. The market likes to push away from them. Okay, strong combinations coming up. Boom, mini magnet, clusters, market pushes down. Right here, what does the market try to do? Tries to push up on this bar, doesn't get very far, does it? Then it comes back down, and then what happens on this bar? It leaves a mini magnet, it leaves those orders down there, and there's trapped orders, and a cluster, and exhaustion, and a bolt. Market reverses. Look for those at reversal points. Look for the market pushing off those mini magnets, especially when they're combined with other things. They're very, very powerful. Okay, you guys see this? Have you seen this on charts that you're watching in the room or on your order prints charts? On those bars where we've got certain of those important aspects of order prints all on one bar, all adding up together. And especially when that mini magnet is there, it's pushing away from it. It's leaving those orders down there and pushing away a lot of times. Okay, so start paying attention to those. I've talked to so many people who are like, oh, those lines, yeah, I don't know. Those are very, very important. Okay, very, very important. When I look at order prints, you know, normally the first thing I'm looking at is I'm looking at total and net volume to see what's going on in the bar. Then I'm looking at clusters and then mini magnets. As far as levels of importance, those are some of the things I'm definitely looking for. Okay, or of, you know, number of importance or priority of importance. Okay, definitely something I'm looking for. Karen says, can you use them to tighten your stops? Absolutely, Karen. Let me show you a couple other examples here. Real quick though, this is something that we have back tested a lot. Lori and I have spent a lot of time on this. On mini magnets, you'll almost always get a 20 tick push off of a mini magnet minimum. Now listen very closely here. Okay, now this is even in chop or tight markets, you almost always get a 20 tick push, like 90 to 95% of the time. Let me clarify. This does not mean, okay, this does not mean 20 ticks of profit. This does not mean 20 ticks after the bar close. This just means a 20 tick move. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is if you have a bar that has a mini magnet right here, you can normally expect that the market will at least go 20 ticks from that point. I mean, oftentimes it goes a lot further than that. You've seen that. But you can pretty much count on 90% of the time it will go at least 20 ticks. Well, what's the point of that? I mean, once the bar closes, you're already, you know, 15, 18, sometimes ticks into it. You know, what's the point of knowing that? How do I trade that? Well, that's not a trade setup, but it's helpful to know, and here's why. Okay, let's just take a peek here. Even in some of this chop right here, see it? This is definitely big chop, right? There's a mini magnet right up here, for example. Okay, the market at least went down 20 ticks before it pulled up. There's a mini magnet right here. It at least went up 20 ticks before it, you know, reversed. All right, there's a mini magnet here. Even in tighter chop, you'll see that. But let's talk about something here. Okay, let's talk about an elevator. All right, we've got a regular elevator. We've got the market coming down, and then on this bar right here, we have an up close bar, right? Then we have a down close bar, and the market continues. Is there a mini magnet on the bottom of this bar? No. Okay, because it's 4 and 0, so there's no mini magnet there. Now, what is one of the things we talked about with trailing stops? Just as an example, okay? There's multiple ways you can utilize this information knowing the 20 ticks, but what do we talk about with trailing stops? Well, we talked about the bar range plus 4, right? Well, what does the bar range do? As each one of these bars is coming down, the bar range tells us how far the market has to go up to make an opposite closing bar, right? So here the market's coming down. While this bar is forming, there would be a line down here saying if it gets down here, there'll be another down close bar. And then there was a line right here saying if it gets up here and goes another tick, it'll make an up close bar, correct? Everybody with me? Okay. And what we talked about was you could have your stops just 1 or 2 ticks above the bar range if you wanted to. That way, you know, slings never kept you out, knocked you out, you know, or have it right at the bar range if you only want to stay out of slings. But if you want to stay out of elevators knocking you out of the trend, that way you still stay in the trend with elevators, we talked about having your stop like 4 ticks away from the bar range, correct? Everybody remember that? Everybody follow me? Anybody lost? Okay. So in this particular example, and we all know that elevators can move, you know, can go different amounts, right? Sometimes the elevator can go up and go up a few more, then come down. We also know that, you know, this bar here might have come down a few more ticks before it decided to go up. We all know that. They're all a little bit different. But let's take a look at something here. What size bar is this? This is a 10-tick bar, right? So the body of the bar is 10 ticks. Everybody understand that, right? Not including the wick. Just the body of the bar is 10 ticks. Now what about in the wick? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got 6 ticks down here on the wick, and we got 10 ticks here. So that is 16 ticks, correct? Everybody see that? Well, Walter, you're welcome to not be on if you'd like. Okay? So, went 16 ticks. But there was not a mini magnet here, was there? If there was a mini magnet right here, what did I just say we know happens 90 to 95% of the time? That the market would go how far? 20 ticks, right? But here it only went 16 and then one more, 17. But if I had a mini magnet right here, I would be expecting it to go at least 4 more ticks. Makes sense? So if I'm using my trailing stop and I don't want to get kicked out of an elevator because I want to keep going in the trend, I might generally be using my bar range plus 3 or 4, right? But if I saw a mini magnet on this up close bar, I might want to pull it up a few more to give myself room to make that at least 20 tick move. That way I don't get kicked out going the rest of the way down. Does that make sense? Because I know some of you are like, why are you going through all this? Does that make sense? Okay, yeah, or you see there's a mini magnet and it could go 20, 22, and you're like, I want to lock in and take my profit. But if you really think that, hey, the market's still going to move, I don't want to get kicked out by an elevator. Well, we sometimes know that some elevators can be bigger than others, right? Well, if you see a mini magnet right here, you know to expect at least 20. Let's look at an example of that, okay? Right here, we have the market coming up, And then what do we have right there? See that yellow? See a mini magnet. Notice there was a little bit more of a push down. That actually became a 2-bar elevator. See that before it came up. Now what you got to do though is count. Like, where is that mini magnet? How many? You know this is 10 ticks. How many more ticks did the wick go? Because sometimes wicks are just 3 or 4 ticks, right? Sometimes they might be 6 or 7. Okay? Does that make sense? You got to count from there. All right, Carl says always 20, but maybe more, question mark. 95% of the time, you're going to get 20 ticks minimum. Okay? Sometimes you might get a couple more. I mean, sometimes you just get a ton and the market takes off and reverses, right? Okay, but if you're just hoping that it's going to be an elevator and keep going, when you see an elevator, an initial down close bar with a mini magnet, and you're like, okay, I need to at least allow for maybe 20, 22 ticks, so I'm going to move my stop to 23 to hopefully it'll still just elevator and keep me in. Does that kind of make sense? Elevators are explained in the forum and in the courses of the webinars that we've done and talked about multiple times, John. Yep, I'll show you where you can get this information. Every webinar, I keep pointing you guys back to the webinar recordings, that if you haven't watched all the open house webinar recordings, you need to catch up on them. There's full webinars about them. I taught 4 extra trades on one webinar, 5 extra trades on another webinar, and we covered elevators and slings in both of those. So if you are not sure what an elevator is, you've missed out on half the trades that the rest of the groups are doing if you missed those webinars. Right here, 8/29/17, 5 additional trades to your power play chart. The very next day, 4 new powerful entries. Those 2 webinars we talk about slings, elevators, power slings, 9 new trade setups for the chart. So if anybody's not sure what those are, you're missing out half the trades going on. So definitely go through and catch up on these webinars. That's why I have them all right there for you. And that's why we have them all on the calendar so you know they're coming up as well, okay? So take a look at those, because there's tons of stuff there for you, okay? What's the max ticks of wick we can have on a 10-tick diagnostic bar? Ezra, the max ticks you can have, well, you'll first of all be able to see that. A couple things. You'll be able to see that for yourself, no problem, using the bar range. First of all, like you'll see, like on a bar while it's forming, that the max you can have is for it to be 1 tick under that, basically, or actually right to that number right there. It can go to that number, and if it makes 1 more tick, it'll make a new bar. If it goes right to that number and then retraces, that can be a wick. Okay, and basically what you're looking at there, to answer your question, is the way that the diagnostic bars form. The biggest wick you'll have is about 9 ticks. Okay, just to keep it simple. Okay. All right, so does that make sense? Okay, as far as when you see a bar start to form with a mini magnet, it could just be an elevator, and we don't know that until after, right? But if you don't want to get knocked out, maybe just pull your stop, your trailing back a few ticks to give that some room. Okay, so let's say maybe there's a deviation level up further here or settlement up further here that you think it's going to get all the way up to settlement. Pete, you're asking like, what would make you think it might continue? Well, if you're at the bottom of a range, or there's a settlement level up here, or there's another mini magnet up here, and a level of importance that the market has gone to before that you think it's going to get back up to there, and you want to give it some room to go. Okay, maybe there's a high volume level up there, whatever it may be. All right, you can give yourself a little more room there. So that's one way that you can take advantage of knowing the 20 tick minimum rule. Okay. So mini magnets can make good targets. Levels of importance, they can become levels of importance. Reversals can happen at mini magnets. Bounces can happen at mini magnets. You can expect chop or resistance at times. Okay. There's all type of different ways that you can use mini magnets. All right. And I will show you some of those here. Just a second. Let's see here. All right. So let's take a peek here. Look at some of these mini magnets here. All right. There's some mini magnets that are being made as the market goes down. But you see this mini magnet right here? There was already a mini magnet down here, wasn't there? And it hadn't been hit yet. And look what the market did as it's coming down, down, down. Okay? It came like right to the tick. See it? Came right to the tick of this other mini magnet, left a new mini magnet, and started bouncing. See that? What about this existing mini magnet that was already on the chart as this market's coming down? The market kind of comes down to it, then what does it do? It pulls back up into that mini magnet level and leaves another one and keeps on going down. Literally right to this other mini magnet. So if I'm in this down trade and I break through this level and I don't have any other deviation levels or settlement levels kind of in here, kind of there's no man's land as we call it, there's nothing else kind of in my way. There's no strong levels, but I see this mini magnet down here. Where do you think I might have my target at? Where do you think I might be expecting the market to go to? Yeah, so we've broken through here. We're in a downtrend. There's nothing else in my way. There's no settlement levels. There's no deviation levels. It's just open space until here. So that's probably where I'm targeting. That's where I'm expecting the market to go. What do I know the market could possibly do when it gets there? It's made a good size move down. It's gone through no man's land. Not only do I expect that to be like a magnet level to attract the market, and that's my target, as I'm getting close to that mini magnet, do you think my stop might be coming a little closer as opposed to having my stop 4 ticks above the bar range way up here? Okay, so not only teaching mini magnets, but also teaching a little bit of additions to our trailing stops, right? Okay. So when I see that type of situation there where I'm going through a big no man's land area, the market gets down to that mini magnet, and especially as I see the market start to tweeter right around there, I'm pulling that stop down. Okay? Grab some extra ticks, right? As opposed to letting it, like, because there's nothing else here blocking it. That's a magnet. It's pulling the market to it. And literally when it gets to it, like right to the tick, you see that? The market starts to bounce, starts to tweeter here. So if I pull my stop way down low here, and I'm tightening up real close, as opposed to letting the market go up against me 10 or 12 ticks, and then another 3 or 4 ticks, I'm going to hang on to an extra 10 or 15 ticks in that situation, right, Johnny? Like you're saying, grab those extra ticks. Okay? So start keeping an eye out for that kind of stuff, okay? Let's take a look here. What about reversal points? Market's kind of bouncing, right? Like this would be a type of market what type of market is this? What 2 types of power plays would we be looking for in this type of market? A range-bound market. Not a number 3. A number 3 is in a trending market. This is a range-bound market, up and down, right? A 1, so we'd be looking for a 1 or a 2. What does the market do here? It comes down here, leaves a what? Mini magnet, bounces. Leaves a mini magnet, pushes off. right? The market comes down here getting close to that mini magnet level. It won't always hit to the tick. A lot of times it does, but it pushes off. What happens when the market gets right back up here? Did it leave another mini magnet? No, because that's 0 and 29. This mini magnet was there. What did the market do? It came back up to that mini magnet level, couldn't break through that resistance level, that support level. It comes down, right? Like they act as support and resistance as well. You see that? It'll test it. And when you've got the market pushing down off of it and it's bouncing off of one, again, if for whatever reason I'd entered this trade, where would my target be? Where would I be expecting the market to possibly go to? Where would I be tightening up when it's getting back up to that mini magnet? Doesn't mean it can't bounce around and shoot through it with some volume, but I might tighten up, because otherwise, where's my stop? Bar range plus 4, way down here. In a ranging market where I see these mini magnets being the bounce places, and I'm in this trade long and I get up here and I get up here, I'm probably tightening pretty close up here, right, to protect that profit, because I clearly see that. Why do I want to let the market come all the way back down here against me and give it all back? Right? That doesn't make much sense, does it? Okay. The next, you're talking about this right here. It's called a ZOI, or zone of interest. Okay. You can find some more info on that in on the forum post about on order prints. Okay. It's based on these 3 imbalanced numbers in a row right here. Creates this zone of interest. There's some more info on that in the post there. Okay. All right, so you see what I'm talking about there, guys. Not only am I trying to teach you here about how important mini magnets are and what they do to the market as far as pushing off or, you know, reversal, but it can help you some with your trailing stops as well. All these different things to look at. Okay. How about right here? Okay, bam, market comes up. This mini magnet was already there, wasn't it, from back here? Okay, and the market pushes off. Okay, pushes off of it. And where does it go to? Where does it bounce off of again? Right back here. This mini magnet that was made right there. Do you see it? It's mini magnet, and that's where the market bounced off of again. Pay very close attention to those. Okay, yeah, Carl says, I knew they're important, but you just didn't know what they were all about, right, Carl? But now you'll be watching them much closer. Okay. Now, mini magnets that are in a, you know, a trend, you know, like I think I've got an example. Let me show you in a minute. What do we see right here? We've got this mini magnet. We've got this mini magnet. We've got this mini magnet. See these 2 mini magnets? They were placed back here already, weren't they? They were made way back here. And the market's kind of tweeting around. It comes down to this mini magnet and it bounces and it leaves another one right there. You see that? That's like 2 on top of each other. Does that make sense? The market bounces right there, comes up, and what happens when it gets back down into this area of these mini magnets and this one? What does it start doing? Chops, resistance, support, right? Depending on which way you're going. You see what I mean? And then right here it leaves a little one. It pushes down. And where does the market push to? It goes just past this other mini magnet and then reverses. See that? So if I see it break out of that one chop area of close mini magnets, where do I think it's probably going to? Yeah, right there. Start looking for this kind of stuff. Start seeing it. Sometimes it'll blow right through them, right? Just like it can blow right through levels with some good strength, okay? What about right here? Same thing. See, there was a mini magnet already back here. The market's coming up. What does it do? It bounces right off of that mini magnet. Bounces down, and when it gets back up to these mini magnet levels, see, and then the market made another mini magnet there. There's double. What happens when the market gets right up to there again? Pulls back, but pushes on through it, hits this other one, pulls back, right? Hits some resistance, makes an elevator. And what do you see on this elevator? See, the market's going up, up, up. We've got one down close bar, and then we've got an up close bar that we would like to take possibly as an elevator to keep going north, right? Do we like that the market's coming up, 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 pulls back? This one leaves a mini magnet, because we know that a lot of times the market will do what off a mini magnet? Push, push. Do we want to see a push in the direction of the trade we're trying to take? Yeah, we like that. Okay, that makes sense? Okay. Yeah, if there were bigger numbers, I like that, Johnny. I like that even more. What do you think is going to happen when you get a bunch of mini magnets all around each other, a bunch of mini magnets all around the same level, a mini magnet here, and then see another one here that got broken, another one here, another one here, this level here, you got some cluster. What do you think is going to happen when you've got an area where there's a lot of mini magnets, where the market's going to be pulled here and pushed off of there, but then bounce there and be pushed here and pull? Chop, chop, chop. Go back and look on your chart and look for areas where you've got a bunch of mini magnets in that area. Okay? When you've got them like this, especially when they're even closer together, like one here and one here and one here, and there's one right here from back over here, the actual numbers to the tick don't mean as much to you. You're just looking at that zone as chop. Does that make sense? Like there was just a bunch right there. That's a chop zone. I'm really looking for the market to get out of that zone and break out of those mini magnets and out of that chop box area before I'm really looking at much of a trade. That makes sense? Like, let it get out of there. Okay? Like, let's just say, for example, like, maybe the market had popped up on here and more volume or less volume and went a little further, and I think it's a number one setup. I'm not taking that. Does that make sense? I'm not taking that down, even as a quick scalp, because I got this level and I got this level and I want out of there. That makes sense? Like, get me out of there. Yeah, Lori would have found some way to find a one and done trade out of this. Yeah, exactly. But I want out of there. Like, I don't want to take that trade. You guys agree? I mean, can you? Am I the only one seeing this, or like, can you see what I'm telling you here? Or are you kind of like, I don't know. Does it make sense? Okay, yeah, I went out of that area. Okay. What about here? We've got an uptrend. Market's coming up, pulls back, makes a little mini magnet, and then we get a little bit of a pullback elevator before we go on up. Where does it pull back to just within like a tick? Back to get orders in that area. Then it goes. See that? Comes up, takes another pullback, leaves another mini magnet, takes off that way. Okay? We already talked about this. I think this one's a little bit different example. What do we have here? Mini magnet. Market pushes up, mini magnet. Comes down, bounces off close to that mini magnet range, pulls up, hits this mini magnet level. See it? Breaks it by a tick. See this one here? See that level? Where did it come up to? Breaks it by a tick, pushes back down, comes back up here, breaks that mini magnet level again by a tick, pushes down, leaves one there, pushes back up, leaves another one, comes back down, and the area just past this one comes back. I ain't touching it. Chop, 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 chop. See it? Like, chop. I'm not touching that myself. Right? Now, not saying that you can't have some little, Okay, it's going to push down 22. Let me do a little scalp. Let me do this. Okay, that's advanced, but you can do it, right? Little scalps here as it's bouncing. I want to wait till it breaks out of this zone with a cluster or some volume. Get me out of there. Get me out of that zone, right? Then we can look at some trades. Okay? So, yeah, and do a chop breakout trade. Or if I missed it, what happens here? The market pulls back with a sling, see it, and comes down. All right, let me take it then, but I'm going to be really careful when I see this going on. This is just chop city. Okay? Especially when I'm seeing coming into this, all these clusters, you know what I mean? And then I've got bolts down and bolts up and momentum, and then I've got momentum here and absorption here and momentum here, and then, oh man, no one knows what's going on in there. That's just accumulating orders, taking out some little stops, building volume to shoot out, right? Okay? So guys, I didn't want to go on and on and on here. I kind of want to break these up and kind of break down some of these really important aspects of order prints for you. Does this help at all? Because I know a lot of you are just like those yellow or white lines. I don't know what they are. But now that you understand a little more what they are and can see some examples of what the market can do you think you might actually start looking for them tomorrow morning on your chart? Okay? Like, you're going to really start paying attention to them. Okay? So, definitely, yeah, and do some replay on them. Yeah, Chip says, I'm going to do some replay tonight. Yeah, do some market replay on them. See how they work. See how they work in conjunction with levels, clusters, bolts, other aspects of, you know, order prints, right? Because they're extremely important. Dan, you said some of your charts have a thin line, green horizontal line. Can you tell me what they're... not sure. Are you talking about this line right here? Yeah, Dan? Yeah. Yeah, those lines, you can go and take a look at those. You'll see some of those on, excuse me, like different colors as well for block orders. Okay? And you can check out how to turn off some of those lines and turn them on in the forum there. Okay? All right. Adlington, can you change the color of mini magnets on your chart? Yeah, you can change colors. You know, they're defaulted on the new C's chart to, I believe, be white, so you can actually see them. But if you open a chart, because if you have a white background, you don't want to have white mini magnets. You won't see them, right? So let's just take a peek here. So if I open a chart, and give me just a second here. And I want to add on order prints. Okay. I can go right here and look up here and find mini magnets. Mini magnets. Line color, yellow. I can change that to whatever color I want it to be based on my chart. Okay. And then save it or whatever color I want it and hit OK. And then, you know, order prints will start printing on my chart after. Okay. Now, let's just say that there's a template. Okay, let me teach you guys something else real quick. Let's say that you take the template that's one of the templates that's in the toolkit and you load the template, right? And let's say you load it and all right, you've got the C's OP chart with OD, with the new oscillation detector, which is just amazing cool, right? but you want to add something to it, or you want to take something off of it. Okay, and you're like, I don't want this, or I want this, or I want to change whatever it may be. I don't like this color. Okay, well, but you don't want to have to do that every single day, right? You don't want to every day you open your charts change something around. Okay, well, all you have to do is, and I'm not telling you to do this, I'm using this as an example. Let's say that you want to take off the swing, okay, and don't take that off, you want it. Well, let's just say, okay, I don't want that swing. Everybody knows what the swing is, right? All these dots. So you have the chart template. You load the Apex C's OP OD template, or whatever it might be. You go into indicators and you say, I want to remove swing, or I want to go and change a color. Okay, and I hit OK, and it goes off my chart, right? Let's give it a second to pull up here. So they're gone. Okay, and this is how I want my chart. Well, now I can just right click and say templates, save as my C's OP OD, for example, right? Hit OK. So the next time I go in to open a chart, I can go new chart, NQ, right? Okay, and I can look for templates, and I see my C's OP OD, right? But I still have the regular C's OP with OD. It didn't get rid of that one. I just saved as that new template. Okay, so if I want to change something, I can do that, right? And if I find, where did it go? My C's OP OD, and I open a chart with that template, well, it's going to come up exactly how I saved that template without the swing. See it? So if you want to change something, or you need a color to show a little different because you have a little different background, or, you know, whatever, but you do not want to alter, yeah, exactly, Randall. You do not want to alter the default template. If you make any change, don't save it as the regular default name. Always keep the original template we put in there for you. Save it as something else, you know, or my C's OD with red MM, whatever you want to call it. Don't ever get rid of your defaulted one. Okay. All right. Charles, we're going to talk a little bit about that tomorrow in the Oscillation Detector Advanced Training webinar. Okay. Yep. Addington, that's how you change the color. Yeah, 15 offset on the OD is easier for some people to see based on what they have on there. But yeah, we will go over some of that tomorrow. So, okay, guys, start paying attention to mini magnets. Start paying to all the different aspects of order prints in general, just to start, you know, getting the feel of the market. Okay, check it out. Do some back testing. Do some market replay. We're going to dig into some more subjects here over the next couple advanced training webinars on order prints. Tomorrow we're going to do an advanced training on oscillation detector. Friday we're going to do kind of a final week wrap up of open house, since next week's the last week. We're going to talk about the mentorship program a little bit. Make the most of the time you have left in open house here. The free access ends on the 13th. Prices go up on the 18th. We want to get you grandfathered in. Again, make sure to pay attention to, just one more time here, any webinars that you've missed, any webinars that we've done during open house are all right here under webinars, open house webinars, and you just click it here and there's a whole list. You can go find them, okay? And for those of you that missed it, guys, you're missing out. We post these, we send them out on Facebook, we send them out on email. If you haven't been going through and watching those, you're missing all these extra trades. Not just, you know, the 4 power play trades, but we taught how to add on 5 additional trades, and then the next day another 4 trades. We've talked about trailing stops. We released a brand new indicator a few days ago. You want to be keeping up with all this stuff, okay? And the webinars recordings are posted right here. And I'll have this webinar and the webinar earlier today posted up here within the next hour or so. Right here under weekly webinar calendar, lets you see what's going on. Tomorrow I'm doing a webinar for Nadex. It's not an Apex webinar, it's for Nadex, but you're welcome to be on it. Oscillation detector advanced training later on the day. Order prints advanced training part 2 Friday. And then some open house stuff. All these webinars are right there. You can go on and get registered for them and check them out. Okay? All right, guys. Hope that helped you understand mini magnets a little bit. And yeah, I'm very busy, Johnny. Start keeping an eye on those. Pay attention to them. Replay in the night. Watch them in the room tomorrow. We will see you tomorrow on some more webinars. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Bye.